Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Doreen here on Monday morning, January 3rd. It's a new month and a new weather pattern for the eastern U.S. Winter has arrived after a very mild month of December, and there was no measurable snow at places like D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City, but D.C. is getting hit by some accumulating snow right now, and this is turning out to be a decent storm for the D.C. area, onto the east across the Delmarva Peninsula and into southern New Jersey, especially on the southeast side of D.C. that could end up being several inches of snow. Philadelphia's on the northwest fringes of this particular system. Looks like little or no snow accumulation to the northern and western suburbs, places like Pottstown up in upper Montgomery County, for example. Very little, if any, impact from this system. Maybe in Philadelphia, maybe an inch or two later on. Even that's a little questionable. New York City also on the northwest fringes. Again, this particular storm hitting hardest D.C., especially south and east of D.C., across the Delmarva Peninsula into southern New Jersey. And we can see that by looking at the latest radar loop. And the general trend is for the heaviest bands of snow to be falling right now just to the south and east of the District of Columbia, moving across the Delmarva Peninsula into southern New Jersey. And there is, I'm quite sure, some thunder being reported in some of these heavier snow bands. There are reports of thunder snow starting to break out here in this particular pattern. Again, this whole area from D.C. south and east of D.C. across the Delmarva into southern New Jersey will get hardest hit by this particular storm system. There will be some snow in the Philly metro region developing shortly. Again, in the far northern western suburbs, little or no impact from this system, but down Philly, maybe the nearby suburbs of Delaware County on the New Jersey side of Philadelphia, maybe an inch or two over the next several hours, and little or no accumulation expected up across the New York City metro region. Well, let's kind of remain focused on this current situation using a high resolution model focused in on the mid-Atlantic region, the northeastern part of the nation. Then we'll look at the GFS model and focus in on the late week possibility. There's another storm threat coming probably in the Thursday night, Friday time frame for the mid-Atlantic region. Still a lot of questions remain to be answered for that particular storm threat. Here we are, the high resolution model as of 8 a.m. the forecast. We'll just go through on an hourly basis here. Notice the darker blues. This is where the heavier snow is falling. D.C. right in this region right here, just to the west of D.C. Again, the heaviest snow expected across D.C., Delmarva Peninsula, and into the southern part of New Jersey, and it may include some thunder snow. Here we move forward on an hourly basis. And again, it starts back in a little bit across southeastern Pennsylvania. If you're in the far northern part of Montgomery County in southeastern Pennsylvania, you may get little or no snow out of this. New York City also on the fringes here. And that sharp gradient to the north and west is holding tight here. By the time we get to the midday, starting to show some signs of winding down just to the north and west of D.C. Still perhaps snowing in Philadelphia and neighboring suburban areas, especially places like Delaware County, but again, far northern Montgomery County, little or no snow out of this. New York City also on the fringes. Then by the time we get to the early to mid-afternoon, it starts to wind down D.C. as it pushes off to the east, and still never really penetrates much into Pennsylvania or into the New York City metro region. That's the nature of this particular system. The biggest impact from D.C. south and east across the Delmarva Peninsula and into southern New Jersey, where there can be some several inches of snow in that zone, again from south and east, just south and east of D.C. across to southern New Jersey. By the time we get to the late afternoon, it starts to pull out, and tonight will be a very cold night with temperatures dropping into the upper teens in many suburban locations along the I-95 corridor region, and even down to, let's say, 20 degrees in the District of Columbia, where there will be some snow cover. And one final look at today's situation. This is the high resolution model, the HRRR forecast map of total snowfall amounts by this evening at the end of this event. And again, sharp cutoff to the north and west. Really goes from a fairly decent amount of snow to little or no snow over the stretch of 25 to 50 miles or so. But here's DC right in this region right here. A healthy storm for DC, and really extends all the way across the Delmarva Peninsula into the southern part of New Jersey in terms of the heaviest snowfall right in this band right here over the next few hours. And again, it can include some thunder snow. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast, the 500 millibar forecast maps from last night's zero-Z run of the GFS. We have this wave of energy here. We talked about this last week, how it is quite a healthy looking system, and it was that second follow-up system that we were talking about last week that was a possibility for the Mid-Atlantic region after Saturday, New Year's Day storm that had wide-ranging impacts from accumulating snow up across the upper part of the Midwest to tornadic activity in the Tennessee Valley. Places like Kentucky got hit again with some tornadoes on Saturday, and it was a rainy, warm day in the much of the eastern part of the nation. Well, this is the follow-up system to that Saturday storm, and again it is producing a decent snowfall from DC all the way to southern New Jersey, and it'll move off the eastern seaboard. Then we'll look upstream. Gets a little bit milder midweek, and then a cold front comes through. This energy here is associated with that incoming cold air mass for the second half of the work week, and then by the time we get to the latter part of the week, we have to watch this energy right here. This is the Thursday afternoon forecast map, and here's the vorticity field that could spawn another storm in the Mid-Atlantic region, let's say for the Thursday night, early Friday time frame, maybe with some accumulating snow, especially north of the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. It certainly can be a mixture at the onset, so a lot of questions remain for this particular system, but this is the disturbance that we'll watch over the next few days to see exactly where it ends up by the time we get to Thursday night and Friday. Well, let's go through the surface forecast maps from the zero-Z GFS, and here's today's storm. Again, primarily impacting the region from DC to the Delmarva Peninsula to southern New Jersey over the next few hours, and some of those areas can get several inches of snow, including some thunder snow. And then it pulls off tonight, a very cold night tonight, especially in snow-covered areas. Some of the coldest temperatures of the year so far in the I-95 corridor region, especially, again, snow-covered areas. Cold day on Tuesday, turns a little bit milder on Wednesday in the Mid-Atlantic region and northeast U.S. ahead of the next cold front. This is the Wednesday morning forecast map, and you can see kind of a southwesterly flow of air ahead of this cold front right in this region right here. Cold front at this time located right here. This is again the Wednesday morning forecast map. Another cold blast coming across the northern plains, and it'll move across the upper part of the Midwest and arrive in the east by Thursday time frame ahead of the next system. Here we go now, Thursday morning right here. Look at this large Canadian high, 1044 millibar high over the Dakotas. Here's the energy associated with the potential snow for the Mid-Atlantic region Thursday night and Friday. By the time we get to Thursday morning, it's right here over the Rocky Mountain states, and then it'll move quickly to the south and east, and low pressure will form by the time we get to late Thursday night off the Mid-Atlantic coastline, and that could very well put some accumulating snow maybe in DC, but also a threat not shown so much here on the GFS, but I believe the threat exists also for the Thursday night Friday system up across Philadelphia and New York City. I think it'll be farther to the north and west than this particular model run is showing, and then it pushes off the coast. Another cold air mass moves into the northeast, the Mid-Atlantic region for the upcoming weekend, and yet more cold air is destined to arrive in the eastern U.S. next week. So quite a different pattern as we have moved into a new month and a new year and new overall weather pattern. That's it for now. For ArcFieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.